When we get into the Gulp Alive, this is where I start talking about rivers. I mentioned we use a ton of artificials. Okay, Gulp Alive is a fantastic choice if you're not going to want to use live bait. If I can do anything to not use live bait and catch as many fish, I'm going to do it. And we use a ton of this Gulp Alive. Now, one of the questions we get a lot is, well, how are these different than the old Gulp tails, right? The regular Gulp tails. It's the solution. You can actually buy this solution. Like I said, I'm not sure if they have it over here, but you can buy the solution, spray it on. What it does is it saturates into these baits and just makes them softer, okay, more realistic. That's really what it is. So it's just a more realistic look to the bait. There's a few things that have softer, more realistic, available in many shapes. Who saw, and Al Linder pushed it big time. Al's a great guy, the 5-inch leech, right? The 5-inch Berkley Gulp Alive leech. It is a fantastic choice if you're rigging, if you're jigging, whatever. The 5-inch leech is actually really, really good, okay? So, and like I said, they probably have all of them over there. Leech, minnow tails, crawler tails. In river situations, most guys like to use minnows, right? Whether you're using fat heads, whatever type of minnow you're using, okay? Shiners, whatever. But I like to use, most of the time, the 3-inch minnow tail in Berkley Gulp. And I stay pretty normal with colors. Okay, if I'm in really, really dark water, I might throw a chartreuse and white tail on there. But usually it's going to be the black shad, the smelt, or the rainbow. Those are the 3 colors I use almost 100% of the time. The 3-inch minnow is very, very good. Has anyone heard of double tailing? With Berkley Gulp, what I'll do is string a 3-inch minnow up on the jig like you always would, right? String the 3-inch minnow, and they have a new 2.5-inch minnow in Gulp Alive that's really, really good for pitching jigs. If you pitch jigs, try the 2.5-inch tail. It's awesome. But I will run just plucked through like the lips, a 2.5-inch minnow on top of that 3-inch minnow. Okay, so they're sitting piggyback. Now what that does is, number one, it gives you a larger sight profile, right? Rivers, generally, are dark. There's current, you know, if it's windy, if there's a lot of rain to run off, you know, rivers get muddy. Larger sight profile gives fish something to see easier, number one. Number two, jigging is absolutely the presentation where you miss the most bites, right? You're jigging, all of a sudden, you about have one rip the rod out of your hands, you crack them, and it's too late. You missed them, right? What do you always do right away? What's the first thing you do? Other than swear that you missed them, right? You swear. You reel it up as quick as you can, right? To see if the tail's still there. Well, with 2 tails, and I'm saying even if you're using live bait, you can double tail. With 2 tails, what we've found many times is you miss one, and you drop it right back down, and on your next pump, the rod goes boom, and it comes back and hits again. Okay? So it just gives you a chance at getting that fish to bite again because there's still a tail on there. I've never seen where a fish pulls off both Gulp tails. Not one time have I seen that. I've seen where it will pull off one, but there's usually another tail. You can get that fish to bite again a lot. So just a little tip, you're going to see it in the video here.
Hot topics. Leading edge techniques and tackle designed to put more fish in your boat. Brought to you by thenextbite.com.
You know, over the last couple of years, Gulp has really come on the scene of walleye fishing to be one of our dominant baits when we're jigging, when we're bottom bouncer fishing. And the reason that Gulp is such a good artificial bait is that it looks and feels very natural. Well, the hot topic now that's really got us going big this year is the new stuff called Gulp Alive. What makes Gulp Alive a little bit different is, first of all, you'll see the container is completely different. And this container, the reason it has to come in that is because the bodies actually come in this Gulp Alive juice. And what that does is a couple of things for you. First of all, it keeps these Gulp bodies very, very limber. And we've talked about that in the past with walleye fishing and artificial lures. You want to keep those bodies very, very limber. It just gives a better action down under the water. But the other thing is that this Alive liquid in here is full of fish attracting scents. And so a lot of times, even if I've got regular Gulp bodies or I've been using a body for a while, I want to throw back in this liquid so that as it sits in there, it reabsorbs more of that scent, more of that attraction. So GULP is a great body, you know, whether you use the minnows, the leeches, the crawlers, but now this new GULP Alive makes them that much better.